Alright dear friends, first of all, it's essential for us to understand what Ichimoku is. We want to start by getting some basic information about Ichimoku, then I'll introduce you to its various components. Gradually, we'll dive into learning about the different parts of this powerful indicator. Well, as you can see, Ichimoku is considered one of the most powerful trading systems today. Like candlesticks, this indicator was developed by the Japanese. We can use it in various trading markets, including stocks, commodities, currencies, and bonds, meaning it has no limitations. We can utilize Ichimoku in binary options, forex, or even the Iranian stock market, anywhere we work with candlesticks and price charts. Ichimoku also performs well across different time frames, from weekly down to even 1-minute intervals, making it suitable for binary options as well. Ichimoku in Japanese means equilibrium at a glance. Due to the unique structure of the Ichimoku cloud, which is the most important part of this pattern, a trader can immediately determine if the trend is bullish or bearish. This is a general definition of the Ichimoku indicator to help us understand what we're dealing with and what we aim to learn. Now let's move on to the components of Ichimoku. An Ichimoku indicator, as many of you may have seen, consists of several components. I'll first introduce each component and explain the parameters, specifying the settings they should have. Then, we'll move to the chart to see the indicator in action, where I'll explain how each component works. The first component of the Ichimoku indicator is a line called the Tenkan-sen, which will display in red as indicated here. I recommend using the same colors I'm introducing for the indicator components so we can stay consistent and facilitate better learning. The second line is the Kijun-sen, which we will display in blue. The next line is called the Chiku span, which we will color purple. Our other components are the up Kumo and down Kumo, which are the bullish and bearish clouds. I will color these green and orange respectively. Let me show these components on the chart and explain their functions and definitions, as well as what they do. For now, we just want to familiarize ourselves with their names and get a basic understanding of what they are. Later in the video, I will explain each one in detail and what they do. Please note these colors somewhere or remember them so you can set your indicator with the same colors, ensuring we have no issues with the training in the future. The next thing to address is the parameters that need to be set. We set the Tenkan-sen to 9, the Kijun-sen to 26, and the Senku span to 52. Alright friends, if we add an Ichimoku to the chart, let me show you how I've already done this on MetaTrader. You can go to the left side under the indicators section, and in the examples, you can find Ichimoku. Yes, here it is. We add it to the chart. I've already done this, so I don't need to do it again. Now, I'll show you the settings. The parameters are in the input section. 9, 26, and 52. The colors have been set as I mentioned earlier. Alright, I've increased the thickness of the lines so you can see them better on the screen. And I've chosen a white background, which I think is more suitable. The indicator might seem a bit cluttered at first, and it can be overwhelming with so many lines and clouds, making the candles hard to see. But don't worry, I will teach you this indicator piece by piece, step by step. In the end, you'll understand what each part is and what they mean, and you'll be able to use them easily. To have a clearer view without too much clutter, I've noticed that on a broker like IQ option, we can hide certain lines and only display the ones we need. I can't do this on MetaTrader, so if you don't mind, I'll show you each component one by one on IQ option. If necessary, we'll return to MetaTrader for further explanations and training. Now, on IQ option, it is displayed to me in this way. Here I can remove the components and keep only one line. I'll do that and introduce each component to you. The parameters are the same as we discussed, and here's the section for the colors. These are the Tenkan-sen and Kijun-sen lines I explained on MetaTrader. They might have different names here, like the standard line or conversion line, but they're the same. I'll start with the first one, removing the others for now. So let's begin with the Tenkan-sen line. As you can see, it's shown in red and resembles a moving average on the chart, moving along certain points. What does this line represent and what does it do? The Tenkan-sen calculates the average of the highest high and the lowest low over the past 9 periods and shows it to us. In other words, this red Tenkan-sen line takes the highs and lows of the last 9 candles, averages them, and gives us the result. So that's our Tenkan-sen, and that's what it does. Now let's move on to the next line. I'll add it to the chart as well. This blue line, as you can see, has been added. You might notice that it's sometimes further apart from the Tenkan-sen and in some places even flat, which I'll explain later. This is a very important line for us, the Kijun-sen. The Kijun-sen line, similar to the Tenkan-sen, calculates the average of the highest high and the lowest low, but over a longer period, 26 periods. It gives us an average of the highs and lows from the past 26 candles. In other words, it takes the highest and lowest prices from the last 26 periods, sums them, and divides by 2. The Kijun-sen can be seen as indicating the primary trend of the market. For instance, if this line is sloping downwards, it suggests a bearish trend, which often coincides with the candles showing a bearish trend. So, it essentially shows us the main trend direction of the market. We can also say that the Kijun-sen line acts somewhat like a support and resistance level. For example, right here, it's clear that the candles reached the Kijun-sen line and bounced off it, acting as a resistance level. I'll explain in future lessons how to use each of these lines to identify signals and how to make the most out of them. Let me go ahead and add the next component to our chart. Let's move on to the Kumo cloud. I can also explain the Chiku span, but first let me add the cloud. I'll select both the cloud line 1 and cloud line 2. The Kumo cloud consists of 2 lines, Senko span A and Senko span B. On MetaTrader, this appears as a shaded area, either green or red, or in this case, the orange color I've chosen. However, on IQ option, it's displayed more clearly. If you look closely, you'll see that on MetaTrader, it shows up as a shaded area between 2 lines, one of which is red and the other green. These lines are called Senko span A and Senko span B. If I hover the mouse over the lines, you can see it labeled as Ichimoku time, with Senko span B and the corresponding price. If I hover lower, you'll see it says Senko span A. The area between Senko span A and B is called the Kumo cloud. The Kumo cloud is formed between these 2 lines, Senko span A and Senko span B. So, what are Senko span A and B? The green line here is Senko span A and the red line is Senko span B. Senko span A represents the average of the Tenkan-sen and Kijun-sen projected 26 periods into the future. It averages the values of the blue and red lines, Kijun-sen and Tenkan-sen, and projects them forward by 26 periods. As you can see, this cloud is ahead of the current candles. Senko span B is calculated as the average of the highest high and the lowest low over the past 52 periods, projected 26 periods into the future. This means it shows an average of the highs and lows of the candles for the next 26 periods. The green line, Senko span A, represents the average of the Kijun-sen and Tenkan-sen, while the red line, Senko span B, represents the average of the candles over the next 26 periods. The Kumo cloud, formed between these 2 lines, indicates the trend direction. Just as I mentioned that the Kijun-sen shows the main market trend, the Kumo cloud does the same. If the cloud appears red or orange, it indicates a bearish trend. while a green cloud indicates a bullish trend. The cloud's function can be defined as follows. Whenever Senku span B is above Senku span A, the trend is bearish. And when Senku span B is below Senku span A, it indicates a bullish trend, which is represented by green on the chart. Conversely, a red cloud indicates a bearish trend. This color coding helps us easily identify whether the trend is bullish or bearish. One important aspect of the Kumo cloud to note is its relationship with the Tenkan-sen and Kijun-sen lines, which I mentioned earlier. Let me show you here, as I think it will be clearer. When the Kijun-sen and Tenkan-sen lines break through the Kumo cloud, the trend tends to move in that direction. If they move from above the cloud to below, the trend typically becomes bearish. Conversely, if they move from below the cloud to above, the trend tends to become bullish. For example, if you look closely here, the trend was somewhat ranging as the cloud became thinner. However, you can see that the Tenkan-sen and Kijun-sen lines broke below the cloud and the trend turned bearish afterward. Let me show you another chart where this is more apparent. Yes, here it's clearer. As you can see here, the two lines, the red Tenkan-sen and the blue Kijun-sen, broke below the Kumo cloud and both lines exited the cloud. After this, we observed that the trend turned bearish and the candles showed a decline. This is another key point about the Kumo cloud and these lines indicating their impact. We can also use this to understand the trend and get a signal on what might happen after these lines break through the cloud. A very important note is that we should never trade while the candles are inside the cloud. For example, here the candles quickly exited the cloud, but in some cases they might stay inside for a while, like here. When the candles are inside the cloud, we should not trade. Always wait for them to exit the cloud for better trading opportunities. Never trade within the cloud, whether the trend is bullish or bearish. Alright, dear friends, let me add the next line to the chart and explain it as well. This line is the Chiku span, which we will color purple. Alright, as you can see, this has also been added below the candles. The Chiku span actually shows the closing price from 26 periods ago. In other words, it displays the closing price point of each candle from 26 periods back. Friends, with the Chiku span line, we can connect the peaks or valleys formed and draw a trend line, or in a way form a channel. Now, if you allow me, I'll show you how we can even get signals using this method. For example, if we use this trend line, we can draw a trend line from here to here. Let me highlight this for you. We can draw a trend line or even a channel by connecting the peaks or valleys on the Chiku span. When this trend line that we've drawn is broken by the Chiku span, the purple line, it gives us a signal. If we look closely here, we can see that this trend line, which I'll zoom in on, has been broken from below to above by the Chiku span. On the candles, we can see that there was a bullish move with several green candles forming. We can use this as a signal too. I'm giving a brief explanation now, but in the future, I'll explain in detail how we can use different parts of this indicator with various methods to make successful trades. Alright friends, up to this point, we've learned about the different components of the Ichimoku indicator. Now, when we see this chart, we won't feel confused or overwhelmed. We understand what the cloud is indicating, what these lines are, what the Tenkan-sen is telling us, what the Kijun-sen is conveying, and what the Chiku span means for us. If you don't mind, I'll conclude this lesson here. I don't want this video to become too long. Please practice with these components, get familiar with the indicator, and either write down or remember the definitions so you understand what each part signifies. And in the upcoming videos, we'll go step by step into how we can use these components to generate signals, the important points about where not to trade, how to use this indicator for time analysis, and how the different parts I introduced interact with each other. We'll also discuss what it means when the Kijun-sen and Tenkan-sen cross each other in various ways and how they relate to the candlesticks. I aim to go through this gradually and systematically, so as not to overwhelm you with too much information at once. This lesson was dedicated to introducing the various components of this indicator, and in the next videos, I'll start explaining how to generate signals and further details about using the Ichimoku indicator, which is a very powerful and widely used trading system that can greatly assist you in your trades. Dear friends, to make sure you don't miss any of our videos, please subscribe to the BS Academy channel. Also, activate the notification bell so that you are informed as soon as we publish new videos. Thank you for your support.